Hi, my name is Luke Sleeman, and I'm a principal developer at a consulting agency called Itty Bitty Apps that specializes in mobile development. For the past couple of years, I've been working with ANZ to help build out their new mobile application, ANZ Plus. And today, I'm going to be speaking about how we do continuous delivery at ANZx, which is the team that developed ANZ Plus. And in particular, because continuous delivery sounds terribly dull and dry and boring, I wanted to spice it up a little bit. And this is really about how we go from developers opening a pull request to having the app out in a customer's hands in 5 days. Before I jump into talking about continuous delivery, just provide a little more context about what the app's about. As I said, we've been developing this for the past 2.5 years, and I've been working closely together with ANZ and the ANZ team to help them build it. It's got all kinds of exciting features in there, both from a technical and a user perspective. And if you want to find out more, you can check out the app at that URL. A few months ago, I also presented on the application's architecture here at GDG Melbourne, which is our local Google developer group. If you want to hear all about the architectural principles that underpin the app, such as offline data caches with idempotent synchronization, unidirectional data flows, and eventual consistency, I'd really encourage you to follow that link and watch the presentation. It should give a lot more background on what this app is about. Since that previous presentation, we've hit some really exciting milestones as part of ANZx and the ANZ Plus application, such as $500 million worth of funds under management and over 40,000 customers, with thousands more joining each week. We've also released a stream of new features, such as increased payment limits, Google Pay integration, BPay, Pay ID, dynamic CCVs, and so on. And as you can probably hear from that, delivery is rapid. From the time that a pull request is raised by a developer until it's merged is on average 2.5 days. Both of the apps, the iOS version and the Android version, are releasing into the stores twice weekly. And so far, we've had over 260 releases of the Android app and 265 of the iOS app. The average time from a pull request being merged until it's shipped and out there in a customer's hands is 3 days. And when you add that all together, it means on average, it's 5 business days from a developer to raising a pull request until it's out in customers' hands on their mobile devices, helping manage that funds and helping people work with their money. Now, there's a big caveat. This is behind feature flags, of course. We didn't start off with a grand plan to hit these types of numbers. We didn't say, these are the benchmarks for how quickly we want to release. How do we go about doing that? Actually, our initial goal was a lot more modest. We wanted to just try releasing the app once a fortnight. And we tried to do that, and we looked at what broke. And every time something broke, we'd fix that up. And that would allow us to go a little bit more faster. So we'd try and speed up a bit more and see what broke next and fix that thing up. And as we've iterated and continually tried to improve and continually tried to fix the things that are slowing us down, we've settled on 4 underlying pillars of continuous delivery. These are the things that support us and allow us to move quickly. And that's what I'm going to be talking you through today. The first pillar is automation. We try and automate everything that we can. There are 2 main areas we focus on. Firstly, we use automation to provide quality assurance and security. So you can see we've got things like a lot of unit tests, more than 10,000 in the Android app now. We've got a suite of user interface tests as well. We do something called a release archive test, which means in every branch, we build the production version of the app that would get deployed to the store. There's a whole bunch of linting, quality checks using tools like SonarQube, Black Duck, and Checkmarks that do security checks. And lastly, we have compliance checks using a tool called Sizzle. Apart from using automation for this kind of quality assurances and security reasons, we also use automation to remove repetitive processes, which increases our speed and reduces mistakes. So we also do things like auto-generating release notes. And we automate many of the change management artifacts that ANZ's change management process needs. Our second pillar of continuous delivery is no long-lived branches. Some of you may be very familiar with this diagram. It's an explanation of something called Git flow, which is a popular strategy for branching and merging when using Git. It includes things like release branches, branches for hot fixes, and so on. And we don't use it. We find that this approach adds a lot of complexity, particularly around things like cutting release branches and merging between branches, and we find it isn't suitable for our rapid continuous delivery process. Instead, we have many short-lived branches, all of which are merged back into main. Each branch should only be open for a few days, and it should contain a small, manageable chunk of code, which gets merged via pull request. You might be asking, how can we be continually merging code into main and shipping it directly out to our users where it's managing millions of dollars worth of funds? How can we do that safely? To do this, we make extensive use of feature flagging. Whenever a new feature is built, it's hidden behind a feature flag. We use a product called Launch Darkly, which is software as a service product, which allows us to manage all of the flags and remotely enable them whenever a feature is ready to be released. Hiding new code behind feature flags allows us to merge and ship without fear that incomplete features will be exposed to users. To allow us to test the application and look at all of the things that are in development, we also have a companion app, which you can see on the right of the slide there, which is installed by the developers and testers alongside the main ANZ Plus application. It allows us to override flag values to enable and test features that are under development. All of this means that releasing new features is decoupled from deploying new builds into the app stores, which allows us to move a lot of the heavier processes around things like legal approvals and marketing and so on, are shifted from whenever we deploy the app to when a feature flag is enabled. And because we can turn feature flags on and off at any time, they're not coupled with any particular release cadence. This relieves a lot of stresses and pressures from the developers. For example, you're not under pressure to get particular things done in time for a particular release, as much as you would be when you're doing things like Git flow with monthly release branches. Our last pillar of continuous delivery is consciously shifting as many of our processes as possible to the left so that they happen earlier. In particular, we focus on quality assurance and testing. The earlier you find issues, the simpler they are to fix. Shift left means that you'll see a lot of things happening in our pull requests. The first thing you'll notice when looking at our pull requests is there's a lot of automated testing and quality gates. Things like our unit and UI tests, linting, checking for security issues, and so on are run on every pull request before it's merged. Secondly, we also conduct a lot of manual testing. Each pull request should come with a test plan written by a developer, often with input from their quality assurance people. The test plan is typically executed by other developers who are reviewing the pull request. Having developers run the test plan means that they can look at the code from many different perspectives, including, most importantly, what it actually does when you run it. I find personally that too often when I'm reviewing pull requests, I tend to focus on the style of the code itself. And it can be really hard to see the forest for the trees. When you're looking at a whole bunch of changed lines of code, it's very hard to think about what it actually does. Having the test plan in the pull request and having the reviewers execute it helps counteract this tendency and allows us to find problems early. Detailed pull request reviews also require context. Each pull request should have an extensive description, which often includes screenshots and videos. And all of this leads to a lot of discussion on pull requests. We don't see this as a bad thing at all. Code is at the core of what we are doing, so it makes sense that an engaged and passionate team will spend a lot of time discussing it. Pull requests, apart from just getting code merged and features out to users, are about how we learn and grow as a team, and how we ensure that the code we're about to deploy is correct. Every time somebody writes a pull request, comment on a pull request, not only does the product get better, but we also grow and learn as a team. You might be thinking at this point, wow, I bet all of this stuff takes a lot of time. Setting up all of that automation, all of those extensive pull requests reviews, which gets us to a bit of a bonus pillar, or perhaps it's more of an underlying principle, which is go slow to go fast. Some of you might be looking at this and thinking, go slow to go faster? Don't you go fast to go fast? How does this make sense? The problem with trying to speed up and go fast is just saying go faster, go faster, go faster doesn't get you very far. If you're trying to speed up, if you're under a bit of pressure and want to go faster, there's always some meetings you can cut out and a few processes that you can cut back on. But if you try and go fast, you very quickly run out of these low-hanging fruit, things that you can stop doing that will speed you up. And then you start doing things like cutting corners on your code or putting off investments in things in automation. You start shortchanging your pull requests and you get them approved really quickly with a comment that just says, yeah, it looks good to me. And you think to yourself, look, it's okay, I'll fix it all up when the pressure is off. Except somehow the pressure never really does come off, does it? And all of those corners you keep cutting keep adding up. And suddenly you find that you're actually going really slow. In fact, slower than you were going before you tried to go to fast. So we don't do this. Instead, we deliberately go slow to go fast. It's all about investment. Every time somebody slows down their work by taking the time out to automate a process, it speeds us all up. Every time we stop and invest our time in having detailed discussions in our pull requests, the whole team speeds up. And these investments have a way of compounding over time. This is not an easy way of going fast, but it's a powerful one that gives us a significant advantage. So if you take one thing away from my talk, I hope it's this principle. Go slow to go fast. I'm very happy to field questions from people. If you've got anything, you can leave it in the comments on the YouTube video that I'll be keeping an eye on. And you can also tweet at me at Luke Sleeman. I look forward to hearing any questions or comments people might have.